Welcome back to Inside Politics. Let's go to your views. We'll go to the phone lines in a short while. But before we do that, I want to give Dismas Mokua 30 seconds only to respond to something here. A lot of our viewers today are disagreeing with a lot of what you have to say. There's a Solayan who says, Nombamuriat who says, please tell Dismas the cost of the current US election is 11 billion US dollars. That is 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings. Almost half of the annual budget of this country. And also another one who says you're misleading Kenyans by saying that Ruto is running against himself. There is Alfred Mutua, Mudavadi, Kiunjuri, and many others. 30 seconds only, Dismas.
Okay, first of all, the caller makes a very valid statement, but we are supposed to compare the cost of a vote in Kenya and the cost of a vote in the US. You cannot use absolute figures. In the US, we are talking about 300 million people. In Kenya, you're talking about 50 million people. And in the US, elections are held per state. So it's actually practically impossible to get the actual figure. And about the presidential election, it's known, black and white, that it's only Ruto was declared that he's running for president. The rest of the candidates are saying they are waiting to find out what the audience is going to talk about. And then if the caller is serious that Dr. Alfred Mutua is running for president, then our politics in Kenya is upside down.
Right,
but Dr. Alfred Mutua is running and he has declared. So
let me come to you, Mark Bichachi. There's also something that has been directed to you. I'll give you another 30 seconds as well. Patrick says that this Tomboya narrative should be discarded. Who of the US airlifts benefited Kenya on return? And also, he wants you to respond to the decision by the government to employ graduate youth as casual laborers to sweep streets and slash in the 21st century through the Kazi Mtaani, even before Kazi kwa Vijana.
No, well, let's start here. That number one, a lot of the people who went to study outside the country came back and actually were the architects of a lot of the developments we've seen in the country in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. Heck, even Mwai Kibaki was a beneficiary of such an education system. But on the second question of graduates doing manual work, I would like to state the following, that there are lots of people who leave this country for greener pastures, go to the United States to flip burgers. As they say, where anywhere. And I remember when I left campus and I needed a job, I used to supply meat in Nairobi. I was a butcher in the city of Nairobi. So there's no job that is too good because you went to a university.
All right. Somebody would say you're speaking from both sides of your mouth.
Thank you very much. Thank you for saying that, Ben, because
All right. We'll come back. We'll come back to that during the final remarks. Let's go to the phone lines very quickly. Let's start with Kosgei in Kitui. Kosgei, how are you, sir?
I'm very good.
Yes. Talk to us.
First, I'll begin with the Hustler Nation.
Yes.
I'm struggling to say this.
Yeah.
We have the word psychometric, whereby somebody using psychology to win the manipulation of people. So that is what is going on with the Hustler Nation. I would like to ask that same Hustler Nation, if they could give Ruto a wheelbarrow, would he be where he is now? Then, about the PBI report, I had the Hustler Nation saying that it has no inclusivity. We can see that we have the office of the opposition leader, who will be on the other side. He will be given money by the government to oversee the government.
All right.
Then lastly, I will quote from the former president of Tanzania, Julius Nyerere. I'm speaking Kiswahili, alisema, that was in 1995. Ikulu si mahali pa kukimbilia, na ukiona mtu anapakimbilia na hata anatumia vipesa, huwa ni mtu wa kuogopa kama mkoma kwa sababu hutumia dini, ukabila ambayo kusambaratisha wananchi.
Naam.
So I would like Kenyans to be very, very serious on that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Kosgei. Kosgei calling us from the county of Kitui. Let's go to the county of Kiambu and talk to Raphael Njuguna. Raphael, how are you?
I'm doing very good.
Yes, talk to us about this. I'll give you 40 seconds. Start with William Ruto's forays in central Kenya. What are your thoughts?
The reason why the Hasra narrative is favoring him is because he's addressing the issues about the youth, and it's very commonly used right now by any member of parliament or any leader who wants to pursue his transition. And it will favor him very well. However, I'm not a member of the Hasra National Dynasty, but every leader is bound to use his tactics to favor his political issues.
Okay.
But I have a problem with the DPI's position of the leader of opposition. What if he doesn't agree with the vote and he doesn't want that position? What will happen? So the extended leadership does not help. Does not solve the solution.
All right.
Yeah. So and the issue about Magufuli.
Yes.
We are seeing what we can call for political democratic action, which is customized by political leaders to favor their ambitions. And Magufuli is a good example where he even got the this issue of COVID. And the issue of political democratic corruption becomes so minimal. You can see what is happening in South Africa.
Okay.
Where the opposition is not currently even assuming the goal. So we are bound to see more of demonstrations.
Okay. All right, thank you, Raphael. Thank you for your call, for your pertinent questions there. Raphael Njuguna calling us from Kiambu. Let's come to Nairobi, talk to Onyango Otieno. How are you, sir? Onyango, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. We're talking about the BBI process, whether or not to have a contest or consensus. We're talking about Ruto in central Kenya and the Tanzanian political space.
Yeah, let me start with the BBI.
Yeah.
I'm a very disappointed man because we are being taken for a ride by the political class. These people, let me guarantee you, Ben, that after the 2022 elections, we are going to have a handshake. These people know what they are doing, and they are trying to play with us because they know that they have failed Kenyans. It has just dawned on William Ruto, after serving for more than 8 years, that we have hustlers and the dynasties. And on the other side, we have the Oding. Like right now, I cannot be surprised if they are somewhere taking whining and dining, laughing at us, because it is not about them. They will accommodate each other after 2022. You'll hear of William Ruto working with Raila after we have lost life in Nyanza and in different places. So the earlier Kenyans will know, the better, that these people are together.
All right.
With them.
Your time is almost up.
Yeah, this BBI is a conmanship, because how does BBI and the predicaments that we are facing, how do they relate? What stops them from offering leadership? This is very sad, and I'm reminding Kenyans, as I'm reminding myself, that we are on our own, and we need to wake up and smell the coffee.
Thank you, sir. Onyango Otieno, very shooting from the hip on the BBI issue. Thank you for your call, calling us from Nairobi. Let's go to the county of Migori, speak to Kevin Okech, engineer Kevin Okech. How are you, sir?
Oh, good afternoon, Ben Kitili, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, on to my points. It will be a very big, impossible possibility for us to have an uncontested referendum, because our ideologies have always differed. When we are fighting for national unity, a clique of some politicians are out to dismantle the very same unity. Politically, William Ruto stands on a very hot fire to support the referendum, because if he does support and join President Uhuru Kenyatta, then it is very evident that his political capital will be lost. Secondly, the Hustler dynasty narrative is a very dangerous narrative, and it is time that we set it is setting a very bad precedence from the tribal politics to a marginal a radicalization politics. And Martin Luther King Jr. once said that let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred, which the deputy president is currently doing. Finally, Ben Kitili, on the Tanzanian issue, I want to state categorically that it is a precedent in the African politics that we always have politicians who are not willing to leave power and politicians who are not willing to accept results. And this is a very very tall order that Africans have to deal with, because it is going towards the bitter end. Kevin Okech, Migori.
Thank you, Kevin, for calling us. Let's have one final call from the county of Kirinyaga. Let's talk to Joshua Mutinda. Joshua, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ben, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Very quickly, let me start with Magufuli.
Yeah.
Now, Magufuli is a first-year dictator. In the last 5 years, President Magufuli has managed to muzzle media freedom. He has silenced dissenting views. He has weakened the opposition. The likes of Mbowe, Halima Mdee, Lema have had a very rough time in the last 5 years. And the election that was held on the 20th of October in Tanzania was basically a scam. I would say that it was a coronation for President Magufuli. And when I heard our president yesterday congratulating Magufuli, I looked at it in twofold. One, either he did it for diplomatic reasons because Tanzania is our neighbor, or two, maybe our president Uhuru has joined the despotic club of African strongmen and he didn't see anything wrong with the elections in Tanzania. What happened in Tanzania was wrong. It must be condemned, and it's very wrong that the African nations are quiet when Tanzania is stringing up tenets of universal democracy. Now, let me go to BBI. In 2010, the deputy president opposed the new constitution. It is very funny that he is now saying that that document that was passed in 2010 is perfect. This is the kind of conmanship that must be rejected in this country. I want to tell Oroba that when he supports this narrative of hustlers and dynasties, I do not know how the deputy president realized there were dynasties after there were hustlers after 8 years. I do not know how many hustlers the deputy president appointed to his cabinet. I also do not know how many hustlers the deputy president appointed as ambassadors. And the policies the deputy president has with his parliament legislated to help the youth. Finally, Ben,
yes,
it is very wrong that my very good, able deputy president, after working with dynasties for 30 years, has finally realized that dynasties are the problem in this nation. Our deputy president is a political conman, and we must reject these politics in our country, Ben. That is my contribution today.
Thank you, Joshua. Joshua Mutinda calling us from the county of Kirinyaga, winding up our phone lines today. Let me go to the panelists for their final thoughts today. Let me begin with you, Gloria Oroba. 1 minute only.
I don't support any form of the divisive politics, but what I do support is having the conversation about bringing the youth to the table. So the idea of conversations around the hustler, which is quote-unquote trying to target those youth in the underserved regions, for me, that's where my focus is. And I want to urge a lot of youths out here. You know, literally, think about it. This is the first time we are being brought to the forefront in a presidential political campaign. And I would say, like, you know, there would be all these illusions on wheelbarrownomics and what, but stay focused. The conversation is on us, finally. So now we can be able to steer it in the direction that we want it, whether it's on the wheelbarrownomics or whether it is on 2020, you know, technological innovations. Yes.
Thank you. Esbon Owila, 1 minute.
Ben, my take is on BBI, and I think a few of the fallacies that we have outside there. One, I think there is this narrative going out that we are creating an imperial president. That's a lie. There is no power in politics without resources. We are devolving 20% more of the resources to the county. And that translates to around 4 billion for each of the 47 counties, which means power is going to the people. Secondly, we are lying to Kenyans that we've not sorted the issue of the winner takes it all. I would want to say that we've sorted that issue in a very pragmatic and democratic way. We've created the office of the official opposition leader, which is given by the voters. We've made it impossible for the president to just appoint anyone he wants to appoint as the prime minister. He has to appoint someone who has mandate from the people and is the leader of the most powerful political party in parliament. And then in looking at all this, we need to ask ourselves, what are we gaining? What we are gaining should be the basis of whether we support BBI or not. As Kenyans, there are three things that we are gaining. One, we will not have violence during any election. We are not going to lose that 300 billion that we normally lose because of post-election, pre-election, and during election skirmishes. Number two, we are not going to lose lives. I am from Migori, and I think in the last 3 elections, we've had problems with the establishment when we protested an election that we thought was bungled. We are not going to lose lives anymore. And then number three, the structure of the government, whether it's going to take a post-election, or whatever kind of handshake and coalition building, will be a lot more inclusive. Okay. And the person who will lose the election to a presidential winner will have a chance to represent the aspirations of the people who will give him that power as the official opposition leader.
Thank you for your thoughts. Dismas Mokua, your final thoughts. Dismas?
Ben, I'd like to associate myself with I'd like to associate myself with the remarks made by Owila. They are very solid, and proceed to discuss the Asla philosophy. And in my view, the Asla philosophy is purely voodoo economics. And we need to ask ourselves pertinent questions and smell the coffee. Now, do we have Aslas in every part of Kenya apart from Rift Valley province? How come the deputy president is not supplying wheelbarrows to Rift Valley province? And then what works for the goose is good for the gander. Has he given his sons and daughters the same wheelbarrows? And tell me of a parent in Kenya who would like to educate their kids, then at the end of their university or college program, what they're given is a wheelbarrow and told, now fix your life using this wheelbarrow. In my view, what the deputy president is supposed to be doing is to come up with very solid policy solutions so that every single Kenyan is empowered. You cannot give wheelbarrows to everybody. And he says that he's the chief hustler. But show me a hustler in the world who runs around with a 250 million plus helicopter and a Lexus 570. What does he mean when he says he's a hustler? Is he comparing himself to the Queen of England?
Thank you, Dismas. Let me come to you, Mark Bichacha, for your final thoughts. I have the last word today.
Ben Kitili, let me address myself to a scripture in the Bible that says, in the last days, men shall have itchy ears, wanting to hear that which pleases their ears. That tells me that in these days, for you to be a leader, you need to shun populism. And to just address this issue, Tom Mboya, when he sponsored people to go outside the country to study, among them, we found the likes of Wangari Maathai, George Saitoti, Samuel Ayany, and Maina Wanjigi, to mention but a few. The truth of the matter is this, that as a country, we need to ask ourselves, do we want to be tickled by the fairground politicians of Tanga, or do we need to sit down and accurately discuss the issue that bedevils our country with a view of moving forward? Like it or not, the BBI gives us such an opportunity to study what is wrong with our country and to build on what we can do for the future. The choice is ours. We can go to the fairground and clap at those who travel in helicopters and give us wheelbarrows. Or we can sit down, get to business, and look at a document that can actually change our lives. So my question is, are you Tom Mboya or are you the court jester?
Thank you. Mark Bichachi, communication strategist. We also had governance expert, Hesbon Owila, political risk analyst, Dismas Mokua, and youth policy analyst, Gloria Oroba. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for joining me today. Always a pleasure having you with me in this show. I shall leave it on Inside Politics on KTN News this Sunday, the first day of November 2020. Be sure to Join us every Sunday from 11 a.m., as always, to 1 p.m. here as we dissect the biggest political and policy issues in the Republic. I'm Ben Kitili. Bye for now.